last question, what do you like about living in Oklahoma? Hello everyone, this is Bailey and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about a lot of different things, what I'm currently reading, what I finished reading, some new updates on the shop, and just some new house updates. As you can probably tell, I am in a different spot than I usually am when I film my videos, and that is because I moved into a new house this month. I feel like I've found some pretty good lighting for this video, but it may be a little bit of trial and error trying to figure out the best place to film my videos. But I have my bookshelf all set up, the books are all put away, and yeah, I'm just really excited to be in a new place that I can officially call my own. First up, we're going to talk about what I am reading currently, as well as what I've just finished reading. So I just finished reading Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This was one that I actually started back in early December, I think. I will preface this by saying that I read Once Upon a Broken Heart first, and I absolutely adored that series. So already this one kind of has like a lot to live up to in my mind because I loved that series so much. And this honestly was a little bit slow for me. Once I got a little more than halfway through though, it did pick up some. And by like the last 100 pages or so, like I was really into it. But in the end, I did walk away feeling a little bit disappointed and a little bit just like not largely impressed. It was entertaining, it did keep me reading, but I feel like, I don't know. And part of this I do think could have been me. Part of the reason it took me so long to read this one was because I was in just a huge funk throughout some of December, most of January, and I just wasn't super motivated to read in general. Also bought a new house and so been very busy. So I feel like I need to cut it a little bit of slack for that reason, but I did end up giving this one 3 stars. Speaking of Stephanie Garber though, I did finally get the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of Once Upon a Broken Heart. The map on the inside is just so gorgeous, and this book absolutely captivated me. Like, I remember thinking this first book was pretty good and the second book completely swept me away. And then before I knew it, I was making merch for this series, which is, by the way, one of my absolute favorite designs I think that we ever did last year. And currently I am reading Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. I have not read a thriller in a very long time, and so I'm excited to move on to this one. I'm reading this one for my local book club that I'm a part of, and I need to have it read in like less than a week because we meet in less than a week. So I'm trying to hustle through this one. I just started it yesterday, but I do feel like it's going to be a pretty quick read. So this is my current read. Okay, moving on. Moving into a new house has been so amazing yet so stressful, as I'm sure you know if you've bought a house before, or if you've moved a lot, you know it's very stressful. The actual moving part is the absolute worst, but we are kind of getting settled in. We've got some shelves over there. I obviously need to put some stuff on. My little new robot vacuum, which I'm very pleased with, is over there. But I'm just gonna show you some clips of the new house so you can get a glimpse. We're very excited to have more space. I have so much more space for business related stuff, inventory, and as far as next chapter goes. So that's exciting. My book room here is actually in kind of like our second living room. We have one living room, like a main living room for relaxing, watching TV, and then we have this separate space that I think I'm just gonna kind of use as a relaxing room. I think I'm going to play my YouTube ambiance videos there while I relax in my reading chair and read my books. To the question and answer. A couple weeks ago I told you guys that I planned to do a Q&A in my February YouTube video, and to ask me any questions that you might like to ask. And so now we're going to read those off and answer some questions. The first question is, what was the last book that absolutely stole your heart? And what is your favorite comfort drink? I did answer the second part of that question on Instagram, but my favorite comfort drink kind of depends on whatever mood I'm in. Some things that I drink pretty regularly are black coffee. I have been really into the Starbucks iced, like shaken espressos, oat milk shaken espressos. The last book that absolutely stole my heart, honestly, I've already talked about it in this video, but I truly feel like it's the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. That world, and honestly just Stephanie Garber's world building in general is very just whimsical, fantastical, and it makes you feel like you're a kid reading a fairy tale again, but like in the best ways. Okay, the next question is, what are some other hobbies that you have? What is your dream collaboration? And what is your favorite snack? I kid you not, every single time I come on here to film a YouTube video, at some point my phone's like, oh, sorry, not enough storage, and then I have to pause and go delete stuff. But I am back. Sweet and spicy jalapeno kettle cooked chips, or the sea salt and vinegar ones. Love those. Dream collab was the next part of that question. This isn't something that I have thought about a lot, and I don't necessarily know what the person meant in terms of like types of collaborations, but I just saw something super cool where this person on Instagram who has a pretty large following is going to be asking some of the questions at Lila Sage's, one of her stops on her tour, and I think that would be phenomenal to be the person asking the questions at like an author event. I do have a really fun collaboration with the Dial Press coming up, and so I'm not going to say anything more than that, but that's kind of like a dream come true. And then also, this is going to segue into one of my updates for the shop, but it has been a dream of mine to have some next chapter stuff be carried in Oklahoma bookstores. And so soon you will be able to see some next chapter items, some small items in 2 bookstores in particular. The first being Book and Bloom in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and Second Story Books in Oklahoma City. And I'm very excited about that. What other hobbies do I have? I love being outdoors, particularly in like the mild months like spring and fall. I just love being outdoors. There's something so recharging about it and just relaxing about it. And also love going to the movies. We actually moved very close to our favorite movie theater, and so we're very happy to be so close to a good movie theater. Next question is, have you ever been a part of a book club, and what was that like? I am currently a part of a book club. The club itself started over quarantine, and it was only through Zoom. And it just so happened that I knew somebody in the club and that they invited me, and so I've been a part of this club for a few years now, and we now meet in person. But it is very fun. You know, I feel like making friends has never come super naturally to me, which I am naturally very introverted, which is part of it, but being a part of this club and just finding like-minded people who enjoy reading as much as I do has been really nice. In a way, I feel like finding people who really love to read is kind of hard to come by, but I think ever since the pandemic, that's kind of changed. Like, reading is on the rise again, which makes me really happy. And so yeah, to answer your question, I've really enjoyed being a part of a book club and highly recommend joining one, or if you don't have one that you can join, just starting your own, because it is very fun. Next question is there a story or a fandom that you would like to create for but you haven't yet? At this time, I don't think so. I don't know. One of my goals is trying to branch out more, but I would like to find some series or fandoms to kind of venture out into. It's been super fun making merch for Lila Sage's books and becoming licensed by her. I've enjoyed that so much, and so I definitely foresee more Rebel Blue Ranch coming, and then she obviously has a new series coming out. I don't know when, but Sweetwater Peak, so that will be fun. Stephanie Garber is definitely a possibility of making more merch in relation to her series, but I'm definitely open to any of your suggestions if you guys ever have anything that you're wanting to see. I have planned, like loose plans for honestly the whole year in terms of what I'm gonna release each month, but sometimes plans do shift if I read something that I'm just particularly excited about and I can't stop thinking about, as was the case with the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I will shift my plans and I will create some merch for it. So we'll see. Kind of have, I've got plans in place, but I'm also open to doing new things. This next question is so special, but so hard. What is a book that you wish you could reread again for the first time? Definitely the ACOTAR series, for sure. Throne of Glass, loved Throne of Glass. Rereading Harry Potter again as a child, I think would be very good. I think if I would have read Harry Potter for the first time as an adult, it wouldn't quite hit me the way that it did as a child. Okay, next question. What inspired you to start your own business? Ultimately, I just was pretty burnt out in my current job. I was a high school English teacher for about 6 years, got my degree in secondary English. And honestly, part of the reason that I pursued that profession was because I had a really hard time nailing down what I wanted to do. I knew that I had a passion for reading, but the time came to enter adulthood, and so I just kind of chose something that I thought I would enjoy. And there were a lot of aspects of teaching that I did enjoy. But it became pretty clear to me after a few years in that it wasn't going to be a long-term career that I would stay in. I've always kind of loved creating and obviously had a big love for books. And I honestly give a lot of credit to Instagram because I didn't know something like this was possible until I had just seen, oh, there's this merch on Instagram that people are wearing, and oh, that's a thing, like people create merch for things like that. And so I owe social media, I owe a lot of that to social media for introducing it as being a possibility. Ultimately, I really wanted to create, and I really wanted to create things that I was proud of, kind of wanted to be my own boss in a way. And it's just a creative outlet that I really enjoy. And so once I realized that I really enjoy it and that I could be motivated to do it for a while, and I just kind of went all in with it. And I think in order to make a business successful, you kind of have to, it has to be something that you love and that you're super passionate about. Otherwise you won't last. In a business, you're going to have tough times. You're going to have times where you wonder if you should quit. And so if that passion's not there, it's not going to last. What is your favorite piece that you've created? This one is so tough. Just within the past year, I've loved the Rebel Blue Ranch t-shirt that we did. That one was very unique and it really popped off and people went nuts for it. Love the colors on that one too. So obsessed. The Once Upon a Broken Heart one was super unique and pretty. I tend to like the designs that really tend to hold a place in my heart are the ones where I feel like I've taken some sort of creative risk or maybe done something that you don't see often anywhere else. Moving on to the next one. What is my springtime Starbucks order? I like to kind of mix it up. Typically, I will never do hot coffee in the spring and the summertime. I'll always do something iced. I really like just like an iced blonde vanilla latte with the vanilla cream cold foam on top. This is a really fun question. If you could be any book character, who would you be? Daphne Vincent from Funny Story. Oh, Waning Bay just sounds so idyllic and like a fun place to live, and then also being a librarian, like, come on, that'd be really cool. I feel like maybe the romance genre or some type of contemporary like fiction. I don't think like world building fantasy is not something that I could do. I love it. It's quite possibly my favorite genre to read, but I don't think I could create worlds like that. Okay, last question. What do you like about living in Oklahoma? Let me just say this. The things that I do like about Oklahoma, I don't necessarily think that they are unique to Oklahoma. Life seems kind of slow, but in a really like good way. Like I've always loved the idea of visiting these big cities like New York City and, doing all these different things. But the idea of living in a place like New York City just makes me want to go into a panic attack. Like so many people so close together. I like that there's a lot of wide open space here. The cost of living is not unbearable here. So those are a few positives to being in Oklahoma. We do have all 4 seasons. I like that. I do wish that spring and fall would last a little bit longer than they do. That is all for February's YouTube video, and I will see you guys again in March.